Hey guys, how's it going? My name's MikeTheTech, and today we're going to install Ubuntu in VirtualBox. Now, you may want to do this just to try it out, in case you don't want to install it on your computer or as a secondary operating system just yet. You want to see if it's what you're looking for, or maybe you just want another environment to work in and play with Linux. So, if you haven't already installed VirtualBox, I do have a video on that. You may want to watch that first. But after you watch that, go ahead and head over to ubuntu.com, go to download, and then we're going to download Ubuntu Desktop. You could choose the long-term support release candidate or the latest one. I'm going to choose the long-term support because that's the one that's stable and we're not going to run into any problems as I'm trying to teach it. So once you download that, you should have a ISO file of it. Excuse me. Once you download it, you should have an ISO file of it. So let's go ahead and create a new virtual machine. And we're going to call this Ubuntu. And we're going to choose a location for it, which I'm actually going to go into, let's see, I have space on data D. I'll make a new folder and call this Ubuntu. And then we're going to choose Linux, and we'll choose Ubuntu 64-bit. Let's go ahead and give it 4 gigs of RAM. You can give it 2 gigs. Let's look at the requirements. So at least 2 gigs of RAM and 25 gigs of free hard drive space. So the 25 gigs may be an issue. We will find out shortly. Okay, so we'll create a virtual hard disk. We'll create a VirtualBox disk image. That's fine. And we'll make it dynamically located so that we can install it and raise the size if need be. Just because I don't know if I have that much space on my hard drive, but it'll be fine. So now we've created the virtual machine. So let's go into, oh, I spelled it wrong too. How could I do this? Oh, I started it. What am I doing? Okay, so cancel, close this. Okay, what we need to do is go into our settings of our virtual machine. I'm going to spell this correctly. And we're going to go to every single tab in here and make sure that it's all set up properly. So we'll go into advanced. We can do a shared clipboard and enable drag and drop. That way we can move files if we need to. If you're going to be installing viruses or doing stuff like that, like in a Windows 10 or Windows 8 or some sort of virtual machine, these may enable some unsafe conditions, like viruses might be able to escape the virtual machine with this, so you don't want to turn this off. I mean, turn this on, but for Linux and for actual work operating systems, this is okay. You can put a description if you'd like. That'll show up next to your virtual machine. And then you can enable encryption if you'd like as well. Let's go to System. And all this looks good. If we go to Processor, we can choose how many processors we want to give. I have 8 cores, so I'm going to choose 2. And let's see. We don't really need this. This can also expose the CPU to the virtual machine, which can be bad for viruses, but we can enable it since this is a safe one. If we go to Display, we can give it 128 megabytes of video memory and enable 3D acceleration. We don't really need the remote display or recording. If we go to Storage, we need to attach our CD drive to our installation disk. So let's click on this CD drive right here and choose the file. And I put mine in data D, and here it is, my ISO. We're going to say it's, yeah, so we'll leave this unchecked so that it doesn't get ejected. If we go to Audio, we should be okay with this. If you don't get sound, you can try the other drivers, but this usually works for everything. Networking, if you enable a network adapter, you'll be connected directly to the internet. If you want to sandbox it, you could disable that. Serial ports are very specialized. Those are kind of dilapidated. You don't need those anymore. But if you end up needing it, you can enable it there. USB, I don't believe these work with it. Yeah, these don't work with this version of Linux, but it can pass through as USB 1.1, so everything is usable for the most part. Shared folders, you can enable shared folders between your Windows machine and the Linux machine, so you can copy files back and forth. And then we don't need to change anything in the user interface because that's all fine. Let's go ahead and hit start and see if this worked. Alright, so we see it's loading into a interface, which is good. We'll go ahead and capture our mouse and wait for it to load. And it looks like it is loading up nicely. Isn't Ubuntu just pretty? Like, it's a nice looking system. So we can choose our language here, and then we can either try it as a live CD without installing anything, or install it. We want to install it. We can choose our keyboard layout, which I'm going to choose English. If you want to really be a Linux geek, you could choose Dvorak if you want. Let's continue. Just kidding, don't choose Dvorak unless you know what it is. So we could do a normal installation, which has a bunch of stuff installed, which would be cool. Or we could do a minimal installation, which just has the web browser and basic utilities. You can also download updates while installing Ubuntu, which is fine. And we can choose to install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and additional media formats. We don't really need to do this just yet unless it's needed because we're not installing it on a machine, we're installing it in a virtual machine, so the regular drivers should all work. So we'll hit continue. We want to erase the disk and install Ubuntu because we don't have anything on the disk right now, we just made it. We will continue. We can choose our location for the time. I'm going to choose Los Angeles. And then we could enter the information. So we're going to call this Ubuntu and password MikeTheTech. And that is a weak password because you should use a number, you should use a capital letter, you should use an exclamation point, you should use something. I'm actually not going to put a password. Actually, I have to put a password. Fine. There we go. So continue. Cool. So now Ubuntu is being installed on the virtual machine, and once it's done, it should kick out the installation CD, the virtual CD, and then load into the actual operating system, which should allow us to go full screen and all that stuff. So we'll give this some time. Alright, so it looks like the installation is complete, so now we need to restart. So let's go ahead and hit restart. Sometimes it'll kick the CD out properly, other times we'll need to manually do it, so we'll see what happens. So yeah, it says please remove the installation medium, then press enter. So what we need to do is go to our machine. Let's see, where is it? Devices, optical drives, and oh, it's already removed. Okay, so let's press enter. No, it says it's still there. No, we're right, it's working. Good. Totally could be kind of funny sometimes. But it looks like now it is booting into Ubuntu. Let's click on our user. Let's type in our password. Sign in. And we are in Ubuntu. Yes, sir. Let's go to our settings. Let's go to our... Whoa, can you not? So it's going to tell us everything that's new in Ubuntu. And it has been a while since I've used Ubuntu, so I mean it's good to read this. Live patch helps keep your computer secure. Sure, set up live patch. Oh, we have to set up an account. I'd rather not set up an account, so I will do that later. Alright, so no, don't send info. You can if you'd like. So you can use software to install apps like these. That's funny, you can use software to install apps like these. Cool. Alright, so now we're back in the settings. Good. So I'm looking for our display settings. So let's see, do I go to devices? Yes, displays. So now I can choose resolution and choose a better resolution. Like, let's do this one. Okay. And of course, I can't reach it. Apply. Yay, we have full screen. Keep changes. Cool. So now we have a Ubuntu installation. So we can skip these. We'll do that later. I want to do the cool stuff. So let's go to devices and insert guest editions CD image. Alright, so it says, here it is. It intends to be automatically started. Do you want to run it? Yes. Type in a password. And now it's going to install the VirtualBox editions that are going to let us go full screen and all that good stuff. And there it goes. Press return to close. And close this. And now, no matter what size our screen is, or even if we go full screen mode, we can run Ubuntu in full screen. So, yeah, runs great. Everything's here. You can install new stuff, and you can go back to Windows by going down here to this little VirtualBox bar. I hope this video helped you out. If you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching. Peace.